Welcome to the Art of Dress. Today I'm happy to share with you jewelry for composite artistry. So thank you so much for coming and thank you for subscribing. When we're talking about jewelry for the composite artistry, I thought it would be helpful to remind you about the makeup for composite. And if you look at Arlena Sosa here, Composite True Natural, you can see that she's wearing a balanced makeup. And this was also true for the harmonics that were also, that we just spoke about in our last video. But the point that I want to remind you of is that when you're having a balanced makeup, this is when you emphasize the body in jewelry. So for the architectural and for the sculptural, if you remember, they had focused makeups. The architectural focused on the lips, the sculptural focused on the eyes. And so for their, their forms were firm or rigid, like the human head. And so for this reason, we focused a lot on earrings for them, because the accessories are, the focus for their accessories is their heads. But for the composite, as well as the harmonic, the focus for accessories is the body. So let's look at the forms for a second and talk about what kinds of forms we're using for composite. So composite artistry has softness, three-dimensionality, and solidity, or filled in. So softness is listed first, and softness is maybe even the most important, because if you remember, the composites always wear soft fabrics regardless of the fabric portfolio of their style archetypes. So softness is like very primary for them. So additionally, they wear curved forms, and that means two things. It means three-dimensional curvature, but it also means curvature at the neck. Okay, so three-dimensionality implies both of those forms of curvature. And then the third one is that things are filled in, they're not open like a hoop. Okay, so let me show you some examples of how these qualities can be accomplished, some different strategies. The first one is a mixed media necklace, where you have a combination of flowers done in fabric as well as little beads. So you're getting three-dimensionality in both ways, but by using fabric, you get a really soft effect. And it arranges in a curved way around the neck. And so it has a lot of, I should say, power for all composites. And of course, it's all the way filled in. There are no hollow forms. There are no empty forms, I guess you could say. Now, this necklace is really unique, but it brings up another point, which is that unlike the harmonic, the composite does not need to add extra shine. So necklaces don't actually have to be in metal, or in rhinestones or sparkly gems or anything. Here, this appears to be a rubber necklace, but it is all of the qualities that it needs to be. It is soft, it is three-dimensional and curved around her neck, and it is all the way filled in. So, and it looks amazing on her. So very cute and very unusual and creative. This picture from the 90s goes back, this is Yasmine Gori, and it goes back to a time when composite jewelry was very in style, which is not the case now. It is actually hard to find anything besides architectural and harmonic, but because it was so prevalent in the 90s and early 2000s, you can probably find it in an antique store. But in this case, she is using metal, and I wanted to explain what's happening. So the first thing to notice is that the metal is closely spaced, and that helps a lot because that filled in quality is taken care of. But the second thing is that the metal is used as a frame or a carrier for the beads, and this allows the beads to hang freely. And by hanging freely like that, it drastically increases the softness. Everything is three-dimensional, and one other really cute thing here, or really important thing I should say, is notice how small her earrings are relative to her necklace. And that's very important because a composite, the emphasis at the neck is really important for composite. And then you also get to see an example of a composite bracelet, which is done really using exactly the same method, freely hanging beads. And here's another example, this time Candice Swanepoel, True Dramatic. And you can see that her necklace is made of metal, which allows her beads to hang very freely. And the beads themselves are three-dimensional, and they're not inset in a frame. They're just allowed to dangle, and that dangly quality gives them an extra level of softness. So very, very effective for her. Here's another, and this is a very common way of doing this. I wouldn't say it's a common necklace because it's very unusual, but using different, hanging a number of different beads in a single necklace, or shall I say strands, is a very composite thing to do. It might make you think of pearls. When pearls are done that way, it's very composite. And in this case, it's a little unusual because of the clips, or some sort of a connection piece there that's holding the beads together, but also creating this triple curvature in the necklace. So in that way, very cute. One more thing that's happening here is look at her ring. To the right of the picture, you can see that it is a single shape. And that is often used for earrings, as for rings, and even sometimes in bracelets. I'll show you one later where the single shape is used as a way of really focusing on the three-dimensionality and also emphasizing the softness. Now, another example from the 90s, and this illustrates two other ways of accomplishing composite jewelry. So first you see here there's mesh around her neck. It's like a metal mesh perhaps, but nevertheless it is a very soft way of forming a necklace by using mesh. And then with her earrings, the dangling is taking place in a cluster. So that clustering is a really common strategy and a really good strategy for composites to show the extra level of softness by having things dangle in a way that's not too solid but still is filled in. So it's solid in the sense that there's a lot of them, but it's not inset into a frame like you usually find with sculptural jewelry. And it's very, very soft. So just beautiful. Another example of clustering is on this necklace. Once again, it has a mesh background, and then it has three separate clusters, but it does not give you the experience of openness. It just gives an added level of softness to the forms. And the forms are all three-dimensional and quite rounded in their nature. Not completely, but quite rounded. So the overall effect is very effective for her. I love this necklace for Arlenis, and that's because it shows two things. It shows a form of clustering where the beads do not go all the way around because they're all one size. And so to go all the way around would make it basically too strong and too not soft enough. And then the second thing that's happening is that there's a little twist happening to the beads. And that, again, is a very effective way to soften the look. Really cute for her. This is perhaps the most risky of all of the composite necklaces, but I think it works. You have a necklace that looks like it's made entirely of metal, but the way that it is formed, it gives you the impression of just soft flowers in sort of clusters around her neck, and then there's like a facsimile anyway of a ribbon curling off. It ends up to be very cute for her. And there's another example with her bracelet here, because if you look at the bracelet at the end of her arm, that would be an architectural bracelet normally, because it's flat, so filled in, and it's a very strong piece of jewelry. But the way that she has softened it or the designer softened it, is with those beads that are clustered there at one side. So three-dimensional, but not at all. It really softens it just to have this cluster of beads happening. So it's very cute for her. Another very good way of softening metal is by using multiples of it, and especially when you vary the sizes. And you see this on both of her arms. On the left arm, you see the very first bracelet, actually the left side of the picture, not her left arm, but the left side of the picture. See how that's a twist with those three-dimensional forms? So that's another one we talked about already, a way to soften. And then she has clusters on the lower bracelet, and then one of the middle ones is just like strung together. And then on the right-hand side, she has more of the clusters, as well as more variation in size. So both are very effective ways of softening the look for her. So you've seen quite a number of strategies to accomplish composite jewelry. The softness, which is the most important quality here, but also the curvature that you get from three-dimensionality, as well as the curvature that comes around the neck. And then finally, the basic filled-inness. I'm calling it solid. It doesn't mean that forms have to be like heavy, but what they have to be is filled in, so you're not leaving openness as you would with a hoop. And so let me show you one more example, this time Leah Cabey, and here she is with a braided necklace illustrating that concept. She has one single form on her finger, on her ring, which we already talked about, and then the multiple strands of bracelets in different sizes, showing different methods of three-dimensionality. Very, very cute for her. So thank you again for coming and sharing this with me. It is my pleasure. And I look forward now, because we're going to start with styling, and which is where I get a chance to pull this all together for you, and you can really see the artistries in work. Hopefully I can find lots of images, because it's not always that easy to find. So thank you for coming and for subscribing, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.